필요 없고. Oh, okay. So we're gonna go through the Western philosophy, the history of it. So let's start from the three philosophers who started this discipline. They're called Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. And if you want to memorize their names easily, pick the first letter, S-P-A, SPA. And then it's in chronological order. So Socrates is the one who started the realm of philosophy. And then Plato is a student of Socrates, and Aristotle came after the two. Okay, so Socrates, he lived in 470 BC, so that's more than 2,400 years ago. He lived in Athens, Greece. He founded Western philosophy, but he didn't write down anything. He enjoyed having conversation with his students, but he had his favorite student whose name was Plato. And Plato wrote down everything that he said. And that's why his teachings still remain to this day and became well known to the readers. Yeah. And he developed this new way of, coming up with a logic, and that was called the Socratic method or dialectical method. Yeah. So Socratic method and dialectic method is basically done by conversation. So Socrates, he loved to go into the marketplace where it's very crowded, and he loved throwing a random question to young people. And then he would throw such random and broad questions such as, what do you think justice is, Eunice? What do you think courage is, Eunice? Then the young people are going to say, well, they're going to say obvious answers to that, but Socrates is going to come up with a contradictory example, and then he enjoyed confusing the young people so much. Yeah. Yeah. So, for example, he had a conversation with a pupil named Euthydemus, and Socrates threw this question to Euthydemus, and he said, Euthydemus, do you think lying is immoral? Do you think deceiving somebody, being deceitful is immoral? And then Euthydemus said, yeah, 선생님, what are you talking about? Lying to somebody is definitely wrong, is immoral. And then he's like, oh, teacher, duh. Being deceitful is wrong, is immoral. And then Socrates said, always comes up with a counterexample. Okay, Euthydemus, then let's say your friend wants to kill himself, and then he hid a knife under his pillow. Then, are you going to hide the knife, or just give the knife to the friend? So in that case, if you hide the knife from a friend who wants to commit suicide, and then if the friend came over to you, hey, did you see my knife? No, I haven't seen it. I don't know. If you said that, you are lying, right? So is that considered immoral? Then Euthydemus is going to say, in that case, lying is moral, I guess. Yeah. So he's very confused and tied in knots. So basically, the reason why he did that was to let students know the importance of questioning even the very basic and even the very foundation of knowledge. So he really emphasized the attitude of questioning everything, questioning your assumptions, questioning your pre-held notions and preconceived knowledge. If you do not have the courage to start from the scratch, start from the very base, and then build up your knowledge, then he thought that it's impossible to reach the truth. Yeah. So according to Socrates, he is a philosopher, and then if you look up the roots of the word philosopher, it means a person who loves wisdom. So philosopher means loving wisdom. So he thought that he thought that he thought that if he could differentiate between good and evil, then he would be able to lead a good life. But if he wanted to differentiate between good and evil, if he wanted to know what is good and what is what is evil, then you need to have knowledge. So according to him, morality and knowledge are always bound together. So if there is a person who doesn't question your assumptions or pre-held knowledge or conceptions, then that person is going to lead a life of ignorance. So he boldly claimed that the life which is unexamined, the life, if you have the attitude of not questioning, then that kind of life is not worth living. So if you put that into the modern context, I would say, so let's say you are an American citizen, and nowadays the political scene is very much polarized, it's divided into the two. So the people who oppose Trump, they're going to say, oh, so Trump is a felon. Trump is a criminal. He has committed all of these crimes and he doesn't deserve to be the president. And the other side, Trump supporters, they're going to say that, no, Trump hasn't done anything wrong. He's innocent. And it's all because of the conspiracy of the Democratic Party. He's a martyr. He's a victim. And the two different news outlets, the Fox News on Trump's side and then the CNN News on the opponent's side, they are going to tell totally different two stories. So, so if you want to arrive at truth somewhere in the middle, you cannot just like rely on one source of news. You cannot rely on just like one side, but then you have to listen to everything, and then you have to question everything, and then by deriving the facts and evidence, by collecting everything, you can arrive at truth. So you need to have that critical mind and critical thinking ability and questioning attitude to arrive at truth, especially in the modern time. So he said that a life that doesn't question is not worth living. So he called himself the gadfly of society. 쇠똥파리. Just like gadfly pesters and then sticks to cows. He just like, he assigned himself the role. So he said that we constantly must examine our lives. But because he threw so many questions about the authority, about the government, what kind of policy is a good policy, and what is a good life, what is a good leader, the government considered him very annoying, very bothersome. And the people, the powerful people, they started saying that, oh, Socrates is like going around the marketplace and corrupting the minds of the young people. And he is neglecting the gods, and he is encouraging the young man to behave badly. And then he's encouraging the young man to turn against the government and then the authorities by making them question more and more. So he was brought to court. And he was sentenced to death. And a lot of pupils, a lot of students went to Socrates and tried to persuade him, oh, 선생님, please go to the court and then say that you regret your actions and then just like write an apology to the judge that and then just like swear that you're not going to do that again. But then Socrates said that, no, the life which is unexamined is not worth living. The life that is not filled with question is not worth living. So I would rather die than denying my questions and denying my questioning attitude. Yeah, so he said that the unexamined life, the life that does not question, is not worth living. Yeah, that's what he said. So let's move on to Plato. So he just like passed away. But there was a student of Socrates who could continue his legacy. So he was a student of Socrates. Socrates was a little lazy, so he didn't write down anything, but he was very meticulous. He wrote down everything that Socrates wrote, and we call that Platonic dialogues with Socrates. And then there are great works of literature and great works of philosophy as well. Yeah. So on your paper, everybody, try to draw a perfect circle and then show it to me. Try to draw. So the concept of a circle is that all the points on the circle has to be exactly the same distance from the center point. And then draw a perfect circle and then show it to me, everybody. perfect circle? Show it to me. Yeah.
Teacher, I have a question.
Yeah.
각도기 써도 돼요?
안 돼요. 또 있어도 돼요. 쓰려면 쓰세요. 그쵸? You can use a compass.
저번에 찍었어요.
봐봐. 오케이. 봐봐. 오케이. Yeah.
We use tools.
Oh yeah, tools or anything. That's fine. Yeah.
저도 찍었어요.
But so we have the concept of a perfect circle in our head. Yeah. So the distance in each point on the circle has to be exactly the same distance to the center. Yes, Eunice.
I have an argument about that.
Huh?
There's nothing that's perfect circle because you can't count a perfect circle.
Yeah.
If you count something, it can be a perfect circle, but he refused to count it because that's too hard.
Yeah, but I mean, you feel like you have drawn a perfect circle, and then even with a compass, and even with a computer program, it's impossible to draw a perfect circle because if you magnify with infinitely magnifying glass, it must be like there must be an error, like even as infinitely small, extent of error. So he said that there's a world where all the concepts belong to. And we're living in this imperfect world, right? So he thought that there is a world where the forms belong to. form 옆에다가 괄호치고 개념이라고 쓰시거나 아니면 컨셉이라고 한번 써보세요. 그러니까 뭔가 개념이 존재하는 그런 세상이 따로 있다라고 생각을 했어요. 그쵸? 개념. 뭔가 he thought that there is like another world where the form, like where the concept belongs to, because it's impossible to to draw a perfect circle because it only exists in our concept, right? So let's take another example of the same theory. So let's think of the idea of beauty. 아름다움. Okay? Yeah. 물론 이제 in the world where the concepts belong to, there are many concepts such as perfect circle, justice, beauty, courage. 근데 in our world that we are residing, we can find examples of beauty. Like Yuna, Suji, and IU, they're pretty, they're beautiful. But are they like perfect beauty? 아름다움 그 자체야? 그건 아니잖아. 그치? And then like, it depends on people's perception as well. 그쵸? So we can find imperfect examples of beauty in this world, but it's just like impossible to find 아름다움 그 자체 in this world because it only exists in our head. Yeah. So he thought that we humans are like prisoners that is locked inside a cave, right? So because our senses are deceiving. So when we gain knowledge, we depend on our eyes, our vision, and our sense of smell, sense of taste, and sense of hearing. 우리는 감각을 통해서 지식을 얻을 수밖에 없잖아요. 근데 can we say our five senses are perfect? They can be very deceptive. They can deceive us perfectly. So let's say you put a pencil in a cup filled with water. It looks bent, right? 이거 굽어있는 펜슬이네. 맞아요, 여러분? 아니잖아요. So the senses can lie to us. Yeah, so how can we like rely on our five senses when it's very deceptive, when it's not perfect? So he said that genuine knowledge, genuine, like real, like pure knowledge and genuine knowledge can only be gained by reasoning, like inside our head, like logics and reasoning. Because if we start observing with our senses, which are not perfect, then the knowledge will be corrupted. It's impure, right? So we're basically like the prisoners locked inside the cave. So in reality, it's just a cactus. But 이게 진짜 knowledge예요. It belongs to the world of the pure forms. But what we see is only the shadow of the real form. This is just an imperfect example of the concept. And when we see the shadow of the cactus, we think that, oh, that's like a sea monster. Or like, oh, that's a dinosaur flying. Yeah, we can misinterpret. Yeah, so he thought that the knowledge that we gain through our senses are not perfect, and then so the world of ideas, there is a world where the ideas and concepts belong to, which is permanent and eternal and immutable. Yeah, this is the most famous theory that Plato developed. Yeah. So the discussion question is on Socrates. Do you agree with Socrates' argument that only the life that questions is worth living? 질문하는 삶만이 가치가 있다라는 그거에 동의하시나요? Do you believe that questioning is that important to determine a person's morality? 질문하는 태도가 그 사람의 도덕성을 결정할 정도로 그렇게 중요하다고 생각하나요? 그렇지. Please support your argument with examples from real life, current issues, or history. Yes, 융이?
Are we doing the discussion right now or?
No, not right now. This is as homework. Yeah. 그래서 실제 삶 아니면은 뭐 그냥 일어나는 일들 뉴스에서 본 거 아니면 역사적인 거 거기서 이제 example을 가져와서 쓰세요 이랬어요. 그러면은 이제 오늘 거 프린트에서 이게 있잖아 여러분. 가시면은
엄청 긴 노트가.
그치 요거 있잖아. 그러면 앞에 장에는 챕터 그거 안 길어요. 그거 서머리 읽으시고 서머리 영어로 쓰는 거예요. 그리고 philosophy question 이거 하는 거고 다 채워야 돼요. 다 채우는 것까지는 아니지만 그 한 4분의 3 정도는 그래도 한 70%는 채워와야죠. 그리고 그거 책이 여러분 다 샀을 거예요. 그 이제 엄마가 아마 사주셨을 텐데 요거 책이에요. 요거 책인데
뭐를 가져오라고 하시지 않았어요?
그치 가져오 와 그냥 이제 샀는지 확인하려고 그랬어. 이거 이제 평소 우리 토플하는 것처럼 형광펜하고 옆에다가 한국말로 단락 요약 하세요. 그 이유는 뭐냐면 여러분이 한 2, 3년 후에 고등학교 갈 때 면접 볼 수 있잖아. 그러면 이제 만약 민사고 외대보고 과고 관련된 면접 가서 그러면은 여러분이 6학년 때 읽었던 책 내용이 기억이 날까요 안 날까요? 안 나요. 근데 현관펜 해놓고 여기다가 한국말로 단락 요약하면은 면접 보러 가기 전에 딱 이렇게 바로 보고 이렇게 하고 바로 준비가 될 수 있어요. 그러니까 책을 이렇게 지저분하게 보는 게 좋아요. 책은 깨끗하게 보는 게 아니라 지저분하게 보는 거예요. 그래서 그렇게 해서 한국말 요약 쓰고 그리고 그 한국말 요약을 바탕으로 해서 영어로 서머리를 쓰는 거예요. 알겠죠? 그래서 그거를 이제 해오시는 거고